Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Renee. I am a health and life coach. I make all kinds of personal development videos here on my YouTube channel. I also have a blog, Dream Styling by Renee, where I talk about inner work and motivational style content. That barely sums it up, but check it out when you have time. And I'm going to base today's video off of a piece that I just uploaded on my Substack, on my blog, about the eldest daughter syndrome. And listen, the eldest daughter syndrome core just hits a little bit different for me. Like I totally, I expanded on that on my blog, so go and read that. But today I want to talk about how identity shapes literally the things that you go for in life. I want to talk about how a loss of identity can happen based on our relationships. I've already kind of touched on that in previous videos. If I find it, I'll link it in the description. But I'm also going to tie it back to how you literally need to fight for the identity that you're creating within your health and your life overall, like just period. The way that your identity shows up with your family is one thing, and then that's a really obvious example for a lot of us because, let's just be honest, family dynamics can be extremely triggering. And as we grow, especially, and try to create new roles for ourselves, I know a lot of eldest siblings have to go through that process of redefining what their role is as they get older because, people change, and I feel like the roles and the responsibilities of who you are in the family should also change to respect who you are becoming as a person, right? Like as your individual identity. Not like, obviously family is important and family should always be a priority, but there is something to be said about navigating identity in any kind of life change, okay? So we're going to be talking about that as it relates to fitness too. Fighting for your identity in family, in fitness, and for your future, okay? I'm going to specifically be talking to eldest daughters or eldest siblings or people who grew up with just a heightened level of responsibility, like from a young age. Like, this video is for you. I hear you, and I want to just address your health and your identity in this video and just get you thinking, okay? And I want to know your thoughts below. And go and read my eldest daughter core article on my Substack. I won't be spending too much time on that concept here, but I feel for you. Okay, so listen to me. You don't fail at your health goals, because you're undisciplined. You fail because your identity was built inside of a family system where choosing yourself was seen as a form of betrayal. So this is you if deep down you feel like you had high levels of obligation, high levels of over responsibility, like not just being responsible. Obviously, as people, we have responsibilities throughout life, but feeling like you have way too many responsibilities from a young age, feeling the need to shape shift depending on who you're around. Maybe you had to be careful and tiptoe around people's emotions, or you just learned that from a young age. A lot of us do. It's not as uncommon as you think. This is you if you've developed, any forms of negative feelings toward your role. You're not struggling with your health. You're struggling with misplaced loyalty and misaligned identity. And identity work, when I first heard about this, I'm like, this stuff is like foo-foo. Like, how is this actually going to help me in life? And the truth is that knowing your identity and intentionally creating your identity is key with any kind of changes you want to make in any aspect of your life, but we're going to be focusing on health, okay? So I just wrote about the eldest daughter syndrome, eldest daughter core, like the core of being a eldest sibling and all of the things that come with that, and how easy it is to lose your identity when you are the emotional backbone of your family. But here's the thing, this dynamic can also show up in your health and wellness too, because the way that you show up in anything is the way that you show up in everything, okay? So don't think that these things don't all affect each other. I promise you, they are impacting different areas of your life in insidious ways. So Sometimes what happens if we have large amounts of responsibility or large amounts of obligation or just like very high expectations placed on us from a young age, which obviously there's context, right? Like that can definitely be a good thing that can push you to do better. But in the event that that made you feel burdened or like you couldn't possibly meet all of these expectations placed on you, especially, growing like through adolescence into adulthood, like during those formative years, your identity might have been shaped mostly by survival, especially if you had to take on a lot from a young age. And that same survival identity can conflict with your transformative identity. So your survival identity and the identity of the person that you are trying to become, they fight each other. They do not walk hand in hand. They are like fighting, okay? And in both familial relationships and in your fitness relationships, the truth is that you need to fight to reclaim your real self. You need to fight to reclaim your true identity. If not your true identity, your desired identity. Yes, you can change your identity. In fact, you need to in order to create very large changes in your life. Fitness and lifestyle changes, I place under the category of like massive change in your life because it requires a change in lifestyle, a change in some aspects of your psychology, in the way that you process things, in the way that you have a relationship to food, even for some people. So there is a fight going on, and you basically have to fight for the identity. And, in my eldest daughter syndrome article, I talked about fighting for identity as an individual and not as, only existing in your relationship to other people, which happens a lot with the oldest daughters in the family because your identity, and at least in the perception of the people around you, sometimes can be like, okay, you are just the sister, you are just the daughter, you are just the caretaker, you are just the nurse, you are just the mother. Like people place those identities on you, and you have the right to also create new aspects of your identity and respect it in the bigger picture of who you are as a person and who you want to be. You don't have to be limited, is what I'm trying to say. But it will require some fighting. Obviously not physical fighting, but some like rewiring of not only your own perception of yourself, but rewiring of the way that other people perceive you, which can only be done when you stand on that internally, okay? So I think I have a video on boundaries on my channel that goes more into that topic, but basically boundaries are for you. They're not for other people. They're not something that you have to explain or converse with people and force them to accept. It is who you are adapting to becoming on the inside. Period. Okay? So the same identity, right, that made you the reliable one, the capable one, the helper, is the same identity that stops you from changing, unfortunately. So how that can look is that you don't prioritize rest, right? Because that was never a priority for you. You had too many things to do, too many obligations to fulfill, too many people to help, like sometimes it's not a priority, especially if you are operating from a place of survival, right? A great tool for people who are interested in this topic is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which basically is a pyramid, and there's a few levels of the pyramid, and basically his theory is that once you meet these needs, then you can move on to meeting these needs, move on to meeting these needs, and at the bottom of the pyramid is survival, okay? So you are not the exception, right? If you are operating in states of survival, it's only natural that maybe you don't prioritize other things. So your first step is to come out of survival mode by getting the help that you need, right? But how this can show up in your life is you don't prioritize rest because it was never a priority before, and you just carry that on into adulthood. You carry that on into just your daily life, which can have a lot of negative consequences. You downplay your stress, right? Like sometimes we don't even realize what's happening inside of our own body because we're so out of touch, we're out of tune. And that's something that I touch on in my 90-day body transformation program and helping people get back in touch with their own body's cues, because it's been so outsourced and, impacted by other aspects of their life. How this can look is that you take care of others, but you don't take care of yourself, i.e. you don't take care of your own body. This is the story of many, many people, gradually, how they let go of their health. This is at the core, is, that need to take care of others, but not actually prioritize themselves. And especially prioritizing their bodies, right? Their physical health. Like a lot of people, especially when they're young, they're like, I have all the time in the world. I can correct this in the future. Honey, it starts now. It starts in your youth. Are you kidding me? Like that's how you can stop those things from progressing in the future is by forming these habits now and integrating it and creating a part, as making it become a part of your identity. Okay, so sometimes, how do I explain this? Sometimes what I want to say is that you don't need permission to become. You don't need permission to form an identity for yourself. If other people are not aligned with who you see yourself as becoming, you have to have that mental strength and that mental resilience to equate that to basically meaning nothing. Like, other people's perception of you and what they consider that you are capable of, you should start not putting that at a priority at all, because it's a process. And of course, you internally deciding to change your identity, i.e. somebody who's not fit, struggling with weight, or has some kind of health problem, chronic pain, somebody who experiences chronic depression, chronic anxiety, to somebody healthy, who's in touch with their wellness routine, who's fit, who has a healthy relationship with food. There's a lot of things that happen in the meantime. It's not a straight line, right? It's a process. And that is going to require changes in your identity. So it's a natural consequence sometimes that will make people uncomfortable, especially when they are used to seeing you in a certain way, right? But this extreme consideration for other people, which sometimes is brought on from how you may have felt as a child, is also the same thing that can hold you back, because you will prioritize the other things, other people, over your own desires for yourself and for your life, even when they are supposed to be serving you in the highest good, which can obviously become detrimental to your health in the long run if you think about it. So what I teach inside of my 90-day body transformation program is not just nutrition, it's not just movement, it's the identity shift from the emotional caretaker to the embodied woman, okay? There is a lot of identity work that takes place within health and fitness and getting the body that you desire and in bettering your health, because there's a lot of little things that you need to learn to integrate, which will obviously transform your identity, because it transforms your habits, it transforms your choices. And I know I'm speaking to somebody when I say that you cannot transform in a body that you are disassociated from. First of all, you need to come back into your body, and that sounds so like foo-foo, but I promise you, like, you literally need to get back in tune with your breathing, with how your body is physically feeling, because all of our energy sometimes, guys, is right here. Do you have shoulder pain? Do you have neck pain? Your energy's up here, love. That's the energy of burden. Up here, like the weight of the world on your shoulders. They say that for a reason, okay? You cannot transform in a body that you are disassociated from. You cannot create new habits while you are still stuck in these old roles, and even beyond old roles, old ways of being, old ways of physically and emotionally being. You cannot transform if you're stuck there, okay? That is the identity work. Transforming your identity is part of the transformation. Health is about identity integration, not perfection. I'm going to say that again because I do not want this to go over your heads. It really is so important. And, one thing I want to say is that if you're watching this video and any of these concepts speak to you, please learn to really integrate and appreciate the information that's being presented to you, and not just process it from your mind. Actually use it in your life, because don't underestimate the changes that you can make even just off of videos like this. Obviously, I have my paid offers and my coaching for people who want to go to that next level, who really need that one-on-one work and are just super serious. But the more that you can integrate this information and apply it to your daily life, it can also make a change, okay? That's why I make these videos. So health is about identity integration, not perfection. If you want to go deeper and you want to actually, have a step-by-step guide and a process to follow in terms of changing your identity to create those health changes, definitely get a consultation with me. I just started offering it again on my website. It wasn't there before. I only had my 90-day body transformation offer before. Now I'm offering a consultation. Check out my website. I'm always adding offers there and changing them and exchanging them. So right now, I do have a consultation available to see if this is the right fit for you. But if you're watching this and you know that you're the one who's been strong for everybody else and you're ready to be strong for yourself, I'm calling you. I'm talking to you directly right now. This is your invitation, okay? Book your initial consultation. Let's get clear on the identity that you are stepping into and the body and the peace and the energy that comes with it, okay? period. It's not as simple and straightforward as a Google search question on how to better your health. Although you can make changes on your own physically, the rules of weight loss is pretty simple, right? Calorie deficit, workout routine. The deeper, more potent identity work and habits and lifestyle integration cannot be bought, honey. You want somebody in your corner to help guide you throughout that and all of the things that come up during that process, because like I said, it's not a straight line. Okay, so you have to fight for your identity, even in your health journey. Okay, and if this video spoke to you, this could be why you struggle with fitness if you are an eldest daughter, because your identity is stuck in the past. Health transformation is an identity shift. It is not just a routine. And it's time to stop holding back to keep the peace. It's time to choose yourself and to prioritize this part of your life.